You got a seat?
Yeah, I feel I was standing room only. Slow night tonight, looks like, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, this and every other night. We haven't even had Dave lately. Mr. Kotzen, our fourth selectman.
He was at the ZBA hearing. I
He
said,
was. Yeah.
Dave, today's Thursday.
Yeah, you're off. Right.
Let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. A few announcements this evening. For events that are happening in town, we've got on June 15th, there's going to be a bike rodeo for children between the hours of 6 and 7:30 at Memorial Park. Also on June 15th, there'll be a movie night at Memorial Park between 8 and 10 p.m. And on June 16th will be a townwide yard sale between the hours of 9 and 2. Maps can be picked up at the town office from 9 to 2. And on June 16th, there'll be a farmer's market from 10 to 2. The other announcement we'd like to make is, I think if anybody that watches the videos is, and the paper has announced that Joanne is leaving us at the 22nd of June, and we've been interviewing for our new town administrator, of which we have hired Carlotta Lilback-Peeney, and she'll be starting next week to work the week with Joanne to get up to speed. So we're sorry to see Joanne leaving us, but we'll welcome Carlotta when she starts. Also on July 3rd, there will be no selectmen's meeting. This evening, Mr. Crook, cemetery trustees, repair a fence at Center Cemetery. You're on.
Well, I brought Ollie just in the backup. We are all familiar with the fence on the front of the Morrow Annex, or the new section of the cemetery.
So we're at
Smith-
South. We're at South Cemetery.
South Cemetery.
Okay.
So now, facing South Cemetery to the right, we put wood rail, granite post fence up, which isn't faring very well. Some of them is missing, snowplow, whatever is hitting them. And the stone wall that's there, as rustic as it seems, has held up very well over 75 years maybe. So I'm thinking that, why don't we match that on the right side, leaving a opening right at the beginning for passage by a pedestrian, that person can go through say a 4 foot wide, and then carry that stone wall with a granite piece which is on top of that, going down with a 10-foot opening, Wally? 10-foot opening, and then maybe continue down to the end of the property with a corner piece. And that's kind of do you have a copy of,
The estimate.
you do?
Yep.
And that came from Salem, Salem. And so I wouldn't want to make it, I walk that every day, so I'm looking. But I would want to keep it low enough so people that are driving by can see, who's buried where, and so and some of that is probably no higher than this table. And I'm kind of thinking that might be what the approach would have. It's just a separation where the plow can't hit it, I can hit it, or does hit it, or the snow hits it, but it's zero maintenance. I'm hoping, backing it up with dirt on the inside and having the front exposed to the road.
Wonderful.
You
idea.
had me until you said about backing it on the inside.
With dirt, because it's kind of like a retaining. If you look at the other wall, they push the dirt, and dirt kind of slopes off from that, then comes back up where the people are buried.
Okay,
So it's kind of like, just to help secure it, so whatever hits it, can't seem to move it, just kind of solid.
you don't think, just asking, just making it, you know, a dry laid look wall, but using the mortar on the inside and forego filling the cemetery side?
Do we want to make it look better than what's there, or do we want to match what's there?
From what you're gonna see on the roadside, it
Yeah.
would look the same. From what you would see if you were exiting the mural, it would look the same. You just wouldn't see dirt going up to the wall. Don't you have a wall that runs perpendicular between these two walls?
Yes.
So it's kind of a break?
I'm not following you.
Yeah, the Bruce Aho.
Oh, the stone wall you're talking about?
Yes,
Yeah, okay,
So
yeah.
you've got something that divides the existing wall from your new wall
Correct.
on the cemetery side as you're exiting.
Right. So we're gonna have, if you're facing it from the roadside, facing it,
Yeah.
you have that stone wall that Bruce Aho built that connects, is down to the wall that's existing wall.
Mm-hmm.
4 feet from there would be the start of the new wall, going to the right with a 10-foot opening, 8-foot, 10-foot opening, and then from there down and around to just kind of finish it off with a
Mhm.
corner piece.
Yeah.
Return.
Yeah.
And then put dirt on the, he was proposing put, stone to kind of weep anything, but it's pretty dry over there anyway. And then just run a berm up against that back of that wall to hold it in place. If, he's gonna mortar it all
Yeah,
in,
yeah.
but just a buffer and like a backup. So it looks like the other one, basically.
Okay.
My thoughts on are, we still haven't heard back from the state on what's going on with the Morro
Yeah.
Annex as far as a, what's the word I'm looking for, staging area. So I don't know as if we should do anything at this point in time. I like the idea, I'm not opposed to it, but I'd like to hear from them to say that they've come up with a plan that we can all approve. Right now, we haven't heard back.
And
What
then,
does that have to do with,
Because part of that moral annex is in the deck of cards we're playing here to make it all good with the state. They might take a piece of that to the right-hand side where there's no burials in there.
way down there?
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, really?
yeah.
Yes,
That was one of the options we gave to them in the letter in lieu of moving people that have already been buried on the state property.
Hmm.
I actually thought that the moral annex was not even a discussion point. It was
That
just
is on the
not even-
table. It's still there.
Everything,
Until
everything
we
in
get
the
it
letter is still in
resolved.
the,
Yeah.
is still in discussion.
I
And more
think
importantly
you guys
is-
should initiate the letter.
The letter's already been sent.
Been sent to them. We sent
They
that,
sent you a letter?
No.
Ollie, we sent them the letter like 2 years ago.
No, I'm talking about what, from that discussion we had, my feeling was they didn't want to use either of those places, the staging area, and that we would work something out with the ball field and remove monuments to give them a better easement when they were repairing that, wall.
All those items are still on the table until we get it resolved with them.
It was part of the conversation. That's why I bring it up, because I hate to see us do something and then have them come in and go, hey, by the way, this is what we're gonna do, so.
But Eric, the other little caveat is funding for this. Where is that going to come from?
Out of your pockets.
We,
I think I got 12
I'm like
bucks on
a,
me.
Well, we're looking at it.
You
Okay,
understand-
tell me what's real.
what's real is, as you're aware, every year we do an annual budget. That wasn't something, and when we have something like that, we would typically probably have done like a warrant article to
Mhm.
get it funded.
Mhm.
So we could do a warrant article for next year. The other thing, and I don't think the funding is there, is whether or not that can fall under one of the capital reserve accounts that the cemetery has for, not capital reserve,
Trust funds.
trust funds, thank you, that the cemetery has. But I don't think that that kind of money is sitting there.
Or there's not that much.
I don't,
I don't know.
I don't have the numbers with me, but I don't think it's, because I believe on most of that, you can use the interest that was generated, which had quite a bit, only because they hadn't been using it, but I don't think it was that much money.
Yeah, the only one that we can use entirely is the one that's designated as New Ipswich Cemetery Maintenance Trust Fund, and that's the one that we fund by lot sales and burial fees.
Okay.
You're right, the other ones are just strictly by the income earned.
I guess my
No.
question is this, we've gone this long, is it worth waiting another 9 months?
Well, do we hear back? We waited quite a while for the state. How much longer are we gonna wait on them?
The reason why we waited so long with the state is because of the person that was in the Attorney General's office handling that
Okay,
had been reassigned elsewhere.
okay.
There's a new Assistant Attorney General that came down, met with us, said she'll get it going, so.
Okay.
I mean, it wouldn't hurt for us to send a follow-up letter, you know, say, hey, you received our original letter, what's your intent? But I think David, when he says 9 months, is talking about March ballot for money.
Yeah, well, and while I have you here, I'm thinking I need more money. I need to do the other side, the left side, where the situation is with the state, that fence right there. We stonewall that, which isn't that big a area, but stonewall that, that would complete the whole front of the cemetery.
Again, now you're talking in areas that I would wanna look at the property survey, because I don't wanna be on the state property.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I could, just, I'm looking at it as finishing the cemetery off.
But if I remember, if where you're talking is to the left of that driveway that goes in.
The top driver near the dam,
Correct.
right,
That's
to the
state
left.
property. That's why we're,
No, but
My
I think-
question was, they were giving that back to us.
No. No, that's why we have to move those monuments over when they're working there, because they're gonna drive and replace that whole culvert and everything else.
Well, it's because there's two access easements right there that we created by developing the island. And that's when they said, again, I was standing there, I figured that they were saying, yeah, we could use that, but they were worried about when the truck's turning, maybe we could move some of the monuments that are up in that area, there's like 2 or 3.
A, we need to wait till we get this cemetery issue resolved with the state, and then B, whatever the cemetery trustees wanna put forth for a warrant article, I would suggest trying to come up with a game plan for that.
Okay. On my wish list.
What else?
I wanna level out, I wanna get loan, level out the, you know, that's so uneven, and that over the years, we need to level everything out
David's been
We've been talking about that for years.
and just make it look nice.
Mhm.
I think I don't know what the budget is, but we don't get a lot of money in this, for the cemetery.
You get whatever you ask for.
Okay, well then, we're gonna up that.
And the
Don't get the guy
vote, you
that
get
wants
what
to
you
go
ask for and what the voters.
I've got a project. It sounds like you're looking for projects.
No, I'm not looking for projects. I'm not a project manager.
The mulch up in the back there in the center cemetery, that big knob that's there, if that was all taken down and resurveyed and pushed out, there'd be all kinds of burial lots in there.
You sold lots up there, though. Town
Where is it? Where are you talking?
No.
Mulch in the back, there's like 3 or 4 up
That
top.
mound is up, they sold all the lots up on top.
3 or 4 of them
Crazy.
sold, but that's still,
Crazy time.
it still can be reshaped and should be reshaped, and if it isn't reshaped, it's an absolute waste of real estate.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Jay, help me out. I thought when we met with the cemetery trustees, was it the board or the cemetery trustees that was gonna contact Ed Rogers to get a proposal?
I reached out to Ed. Ed said that he would do it. We haven't made an official. We never. And I came back to the board and said he'd be fine looking at it, but then we just never made an official.
Yeah.
Because again, I wasn't sure which one of us was supposed to say yes, please go
And
do
then
it.
now they're worried
I would
about
ask them to
leveling
get
it.
us a
We should-
proposal
That'll come in,
on what
yeah.
the cost is,
Right.
just so we
Sold
know,
lots. What do you mean?
rather than going in blind.
Individuals?
Yeah,
I
that's
I
definitely
think.
good.
There could be a couple hundred up there.
He can
But
tell
they
us
sold
that,
5 or
just
6.
say, yeah. Jay, I thought though this area
Yeah,
that you were
it's
talking
out
about
there.
went up or
Yeah, it's at
wooded
the
or
summit of
whatever.
the hill.
It is, it's
How could
quite,
they have sold lots if it's not even clear?
well, what they did years ago is they cut a path up to the top of the hill, cause somebody wanted to be buried under the birches and look down on the pond. So they sold 4 lots and everything else was just left to grow up. It's since been brush hog mowed, but it's not maintained, other than a path up to the 4 or 5 graves at the top of the hill.
Is it something that needs to be cleared as far as there's trees there, or is there just?
On the backside of that knob, there would be trees, it must be what?
Well, you got the big birch trees up on top, you know, they're probably.
Yeah, but no, on the backside of that knob.
Oh, yeah.
It's gotta be, yeah, it's gotta be cut.
When we had the prisoners, they took it down, but it's all grown back
Right.
again, yeah.
But it's, how many acres is it in there, Ollie?
You can get 200-300 lots in there.
Right, it's just a matter of, we gotta put an effort into doing it, that's the thing. I mean, do we ask the people on top of the knob to relocate family members? If we did that, then you could level that whole area and you'd have that much more real estate, but
But we don't know whether that knob is there for a reason. Is it ledge?
no, I can't imagine.
No, I think it's
No.
all gravel.
I think it's all, I think they pushed material up in there when they did what they did with the part of the cemetery that's usable. So,
Well, I think if we could, have a conversation with Ed and get
Right.
that surveyed and find out what we need to do.
yeah.
That would be the way to go.
And Ollie, just while we have you here, and the only reason is because there seems to be a confusion on what was and wasn't. We're not selling we haven't been selling anything in all the blacked out areas since our initial conversation a couple months ago, correct? When we said don't sell here, here, or here. We haven't sold anything in any of those spots, have we?
But,
Ollie, I thought we were clear, we
Yeah,
weren't
we-
selling
I wasn't.
anything.
I thought the state said this is gonna be our
Right.
land.
The board didn't give you any direction. No selling lots, and you should contact those people that you've sold to, that we can't be selling that until we get a decision from the state.
I thought we were pretty clear in that
Yeah.
conversation, Ollie, to be honest with you, that nothing is happening here until we find out from the state what they say. The 3 of us are remembering that
Yeah.
conversation, so.
Because we've
Kinda
got
surprised if
nothing
we
on
sold
paper
anything.
from the state. So
How many lots have you sold?
Okay.
Well, you gotta locate them 10 families and tell them that you're gonna have to give them their money back
Give them lots.
somewhere
they-
else.
somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was pretty clear directive. It is now, I hope. And we will contact the state, I guess, and ask for a letter, because we haven't heard from them in a bit of time here, right? How long's it been?
It's
I
been
think, when do we meet out there, February?
Been a while.
yeah. And then we did get just some correspondence from
Right.
her, probably a month, maybe 2 months ago.
I have a question.
What was the second
And
correspondence
probably,
that came?
Ollie can probably answer it.
I don't know.
How many lots do we have left? You know, just roughly, how many lots do we have left to sell? Let's take that out of the equation, just how many do we have from anywhere? Would you say 200?
South Cemetery, we have probably 60, 70 lots.
70,
Yeah.
and
But
then,
if we can't sell them, then we get basically nothing.
okay, then what about in the annex, Laurel?
That's what
Oh, you're talking that. So what I'm saying is, if we're selling lots at a pretty good clip here, we're running out of lots. We need to, address that mound, what do you call that mound over
Center
there?
Cemetery.
We need to
Yeah.
address that as soon as possible, Because either that or look elsewhere for
There,
a new cemetery.
there are lots up in Balch, outside of that knob area though. There's gotta be lots up there, Ollie.
Well, then you need a plan, have a plan of attack before we get to the point where we're gonna run out of lots and say, okay, now we gotta do something.
Right, and that's why I'd like to get a response from the state, so we can say,
Absolutely.
okay, we can use this part of Morrill, so we've got 30 here, and
I mean, if you sell 20, 30 lots for the rest of the year,
right.
you know, again, now,
I don't think we sell, how many lots a year do you sell? How many lots a year do you sell?
It ranges.
Approximately, an average? I don't think we're anywhere near 20 or 30 lots.
well,
a
he
year.
just sold 10.
10 to 20.
I'm gonna guess that was probably,
It's an unusual year.
yeah.
Also, it was unusual year because I had already 12 burials.
The other thing is, just to bring you up to speed, as part of the capital improvement plan that was put together, one of the suggestions, I believe from the cemetery trustees and from them, is we're finding more people being cremated versus buying plots. And one of the recommendations they had was to start planning maybe for, they called it a columbarium, where they're designed in different ways. And one of the ones that we thought looked attractive was they, in a stone wall, and they give you
Okay, yeah.
boxes where
It,
people buy it, or it can be, you know, there's different details, but it reduces the amount of land is what the ultimate goal
Right, I
is.
just went to a burial in Arlington, he was cremated, and they put him, they have
Mausoleum, yeah.
a big,
Yeah.
it's quite an area, but, I mean, you can, you know, they're like 4 or 6, I didn't count, but I'm saying at least 6 high.
That's what this is.
Yeah.
And one of the other, because I think they may have had photos when they were presenting the CIP, and we said, well, I don't know if that's like a New Ipswich thing, but they had a photo of one where it was, you know, a curved stone wall, and they just had them.
Yeah,
And then we said, well, we should be planning for it.
yeah.
coming up that hill too, Eric, in center, as you, go over the bridge by the dam, you get up top there and it levels off. On the left-hand side, there's some tall grass, it's really, it's deep, needs to be brush hogged and all that stuff. But we've talked for years, and I was on the board with Ollie as a cemetery trustee about some drainage in there, and you could put 300 cremations in there, because they only take an area as big as an urn.
Sure.
But it's a matter of getting that all cut off and getting some drainage put in there. I think, did we propose a warrant article 1 year early? I think we did. And it was shot down, but it would have freed up more space, because there's probably 2 acres in there that could be used. It's damp, so you wouldn't, I don't know if you want to do full burials, but it could be a cremation spot, you know, so.
How big an area is that knob we're talking, would you say?
That piece over there, if you're looking at the Balch, right? Is it Balch? Balch or Walsh? I keep mixing it up. But anyway, if you were looking at it and you went to the last paved road in that section and went to the left, I'm gonna guess there's gotta be 3 acres there, Ollie, 4 acres? It's a guess, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of space in there. But that knob takes up a lot of room.
Yeah, but you
It's
could have-
unfortunate.
You could have 3 more islands taking that.
Oh, easy, yeah. It's unfortunate that they did that, but
Okay.
I don't know how to work around it.
Okay,
Let me know the next time you guys meet as trustees. I'll see if I can meet with you, just to maybe give you some more background on it.
okay. So, we're gonna wait for the state
Right,
to,
but again, I would advocate with these guys that we kind of give them a little nudge and say, hey, we're coming up against it here. Can we get some sort of response out of you guys? So,
okay, so then at that point, once you want to find out from the state, then we can put a warrant article in and ask the town, can we do this? The only other thing, and I didn't approach, but I kind of mentioned what I was thinking of doing to a few guys, And one guy said, why don't we ask some of the businesses, you know how that is, you know, and ask if we can get some donations. And I had one guy tell me that he would, you know, he would donate towards that. It was a great idea, trying to fix up the cemetery, and
Mhm.
he liked the idea. So I don't know where that would go, but at this point, I guess we'll just wait for the state, and then we'll go from there. And what about leveling the loan?
Let's go back to that. I was not gonna let you leave without that. The highway department can certainly get a screened loom.
Okay.
Down at the transfer station, we have plenty of areas for loom. Get it delivered, put it there. I don't know what the cemetery trustee budget has for,
None.
yes, they do, we'll find it. You know, leveling and seeding.
See, yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm thinking this might be something that we'd do in the fall, not now during the summer, because you're just gonna get weeds.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that's fine. I just didn't know if we needed to do something, warrant article with that involved. But
Well,
Well, quote, the ditch loan doesn't work.
No,
out.
no,
No.
I would be, no, he's talking buying screen loam from a local contractor.
Well,
Or even-
I've been buying mine.
we've
over
got
Mason
how many
and
acres of
all
land
the-
down at the transfer station? And I'm not talking about the piles that they create with the
Ditching.
road
Right.
ditchings, but we could take that off and bring in a screen and screen the loom.
From where are you getting the loan from?
Somewhere down on the 100 acres of transfer station
Oh, I
property.
see what you're thinking. I don't know where you would, we'd have to look at it. I don't know where you'd get
I'm
it.
thinking wherever the next plan is for
Gravel?
getting gravel
I
from.
think we're almost tapped out on that too. That's another resource that, I don't believe there's a whole lot left.
That esker in the back is depleted?
Yeah, I'm thinking pretty close, yeah. Yeah.
Well, we can look at it.
Yeah, we
It's
can.
an option.
But I would love to see loam and seed and level, absolutely.
Okay.
Just a matter of how we finance it, that's all.
Yeah.
Everything comes down to the dollar.
Does it?
It really does.
Always does.
June 19th is the next trustee meeting.
June 19th. On Tuesday. What time?
4 o'clock. Oh, it's at 4:30. But when did we, 4:30, isn't it?
What are you guys, all retired or something?
No,
They are, too.
Bill-
Well, wait a minute though.
No,
The
Bill's
next thing on our
up.
discussion was about going every other week, so
Even-
that
even
might
if
work
we-
for you.
Even if we
You had to
continue to
leave
be
with
doing
that.
I had to leave, it was no. Yeah, I had to leave.
It was 4, I think it was 4:30.
Yeah, and I left at 5, yeah.
All right, well, I'll be there.
You'll be there.
Yeah, I won't be there at 4:30, but I'll be there as close as I can.
Okay. We'll be there. June 19th, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so, we'll wait to hear from you.
Yeah, and, I don't know, you guys want to send a note off to the state and just say,
Yeah.
Do you want, Bart is the one that usually talks to them? No?
Just to send a letter, I think we can. say
right,
it
just
before.
to, hey, where you guys at
Yeah,
with the decision?
Shouldn't you,
To the,
wouldn't it be
Mary.
prudent for us to summarize what we believe what was stated?
I think we did that in the original letter, right? The one
Right,
that
we
said-
gave them the options in the
No, that
original.
was giving them options, but we did have a discussion with them.
That's your recollection. I think the board's recollection was, we gave them the options that were in there, they were gonna go back and see what would work for them.
And the problem is you had three people and the directions, they kept splitting off. And one person was saying, I don't know if that'll work.
Mhm.
And someone else is standing there going, yeah, that'll work great. But the problem is it was three different people having three different conversations because they weren't sticking together.
Right.
So you may have gotten a piece from one person.
Well, Jim Gallagher is the boss of Mark Stevens. So Jim Gallagher, I'd go with Jim Gallagher's opinion more than Mark Stevens.
But what we're still stuck with is we have nothing in black and white on
Right,
paper.
that's the tough part, Ollie, and I agree with you,
And-
Jim was pretty.
Yeah, he was great. He was going to be very cooperative, but
He really was.
But then the woman was like, "Well, I need to sit down with everyone and we'll figure it out,"
Right.
because she's going to talk to both of them
Yeah.
and come to a consensus. But we have nothing on paper, so our hands are still tied. So, unfortunately, like Jay said, we're going to have to contact those people and either get them to agree on a different area or give them their money back, because right now or tell them they're on hold until we get a decision. But we can't. But if the state
No
takes
barriers.
it, if the state takes it back, we're stuck.
Absolutely no burials over there.
We
It's-
we can't, we can't agree to take those people's money for a spot that we can't guarantee they can have. And that's unfortunate, but that's where we sit still until we have something in writing, because it all goes back to where we said the state gave us that property, and nowhere in the agreement that we signed did it say we could bury people there to begin with. So it comes back on the town to say that we broke the lease. We broke the rules of the lease early on. It says it was for recreation and conservation and this, and nowhere in it did it say we could bury people there.
I thought that it was left that their construction vehicles were gonna come in and see if they could fit in there to do the repair.
Yeah, in those gaps.
Yeah, I don't think they would bring the actual vehicles, they were just gonna have one of their superintendents look at
Oh,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, to see if they
Make sure
could
they
fit in
could fit
those
in there,
gaps.
But until we get that, we were on no burials over there.
Mr. Crook's thinking.
I know. I see the smoke. I can see the smoke.
The other thing I'm thinking is, I don't know, do we have, room available anywhere out back here?
I don't think so.
No.
It was a pile of dirt, but I wouldn't call it growing grass alone, filling holes, but you want some decent.
What?
Nice compost pile.
Yeah, you could use that, grind it, mix it.
Yeah.
What will happen, okay, so you say, I'm going back to the mound and
Right.
center. Now, if you can't level that mound,
Yeah,
you can still get some,
I hope we could reshape it to a degree anyway, and
to get,
to get something.
what about a new cemetery?
We're not opposed to the idea, I guess the question.
What about the land that Dixie,
That was for recreation.
what, can't we get anything out of that? No?
It was deeded as a
It was
recreation.
deeded as recreation,
Yeah,
with no structures,
yeah.
except for,
Goalposts or something.
there was some,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it wasn't for a
Removable
cemetery.
soccer goals or
Something
something.
like
We
that.
had to be
yeah.
specific to the.
How can we change that?
We don't want to.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if
You
we
know,
have 200 some odd plots up at Center Cemetery, we're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, it's just a matter of prepping them so you
Yeah.
can use them, that's the thing. Talk about fields though, there's that one, I used to refer to as Kangus's field up on the top of the hill across from Harmony Hills. Pretty large field in there.
Don't you dare.
Wow.
I get my hay from over there.
So we shouldn't be
Behind the
burying
ABC?
anybody there either,
Where?
in the mulch.
No, we can bury in mulch, you've got.
Well, you're gonna.
Don't you have lots in
you're
the
taking
front?
hill down.
I hope you're not burying them on the hill.
Well, that's where the graves are.
I thought you said there was only
There's
4.
4 or 5 of them on the top of the hill, right?
I have on June 23rd, I have a burial there,
Where?
on top of the hill, the Blackburn plot.
Oh, that's already sold property, I would say you
Yeah,
have to bury
yeah.
it, there's no.
But we can, if you're telling me that we have room for 200 graves up there, I'm sure we've got land that we can work around whatever's there.
Right, I think we got somebody in there that could reshape that
Yeah.
knob, so it's
Yeah.
not as drastic as it is, and you get some real estate out of it.
So you could have a mound, and then you gotta terrace it off,
You
maybe?
could, right, if that's the way it works, and that's the way you do
You
it.
know, that's
Yeah,
Oh,
pretty elaborate, but.
the swale area that's to the back end before the hill, the water doesn't go anywhere except, you know, right in that area.
then drainage will have to be put in.
Because I had 3 burials in Balch last year, and we had to have a pump on all 3 of them.
Was that a low point, Ollie?
No, that's the high point,
A high point?
yeah. In fact, one year on Children's Fair Day, which that means 3rd weekend
August.
of August,
Yeah.
I had a cremation burial. And by the time the family got there, 2 feet deep, it was, had a foot of water in
And this is at the top.
it, yeah.
Yeah, if there was some drainage put along the backside of that, because all that water comes off the hill, it's all granite up in there, it all, there's nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
That's where it's headed. So if there was some drainage put along the backside of it, I think would solve the problem. It's gonna take some effort and money and
Do we have a survey of that?
engineering to do it, but it's usable property. I think we should use it.
We have some
Well,
maps.
Seems like we should do it sooner than later,
I
because if he
would
keeps
agree.
burying up there, we're losing all the.
Right, that's, I mean, he's had no option but to bury there.
My other question, Ollie, what about the other cemetery where the town pound is? Is there
Porter
any
Hill?
other land over there?
The notes on the drawings state that the plot plan was done via the stones that were there. The person who wrote it said all lots were sold, but they don't know who and where and what.
And
In
they-
fact, I'm having my first burial there, cremation burial, on July 7th.
Porter Hill,
Porter Hill,
You sold them a
way
lot,
down in the corner.
or they had a
I
lot
had
of,
a 10 by 15 lot in the corner,
They
furthest corner.
they bought that a long time ago, that's been in the family for,
Yeah, the Churchill Prescott plot.
Winston Churchill?
goes back that
Ethel.
far.
No, this was Ethel.
But have you been up to Porter Hill, Eric?
No.
That's got.
Well, I've been there by it, I guess.
Those are pine box burials, so that's got some
yeah.
great
Absolutely.
depressions in that.
Ooh.
Yeah, you be careful walking around up there, yeah.
But Ollie, that area that's bound by the stone walls, are all the lots identified?
No. It says in there, though, the plot plan was derived by the stones that were there.
So if there's like vacant area, can you sell it as a lot?
If you approve it,
Well, if we can get a plan of these areas and see what's there. I didn't know
I
if
just
we
told you,
owned.
there is no plan. The plan I have was based on the stones that were put. In fact, I have some stones that somebody years ago put up against the stone wall.
All right, they fell over.
So how do you know
You
where
can't
to
even read
dig?
them.
Not so much, well, when, I've been up there maybe twice, but when you walk through, you see the headstones.
Yeah.
You see them.
Well, okay, but what about the headstones that are leaning against the wall, stone wall?
What
And
about
the
you say,
ones
okay,
that
that's a
didn't have a
vacant-
headstone.
You
It's just like
Yeah.
if you look in
You're not gonna hit a
section
wall.
A in South
Not up
Cemetery,
there.
in the corner, most easterly, southeasterly corner, you see these old ragged corner markers. They're in the stone there though.
Right.
And I wish I could remember the exact word that when I told Nate, over that we could bury, because if we dug down and didn't find anything, and he said, you know, that'll be on your head.
Yeah, I'll bet, yeah.
That was
If
the
you've got-
first time he told me he was gonna fire me.
If that way, if you've got corner markers, yeah, I wouldn't go
Yeah,
poking
and
around.
there's no stones there or anything.
But you're talking corner marker for like a plot?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
no, that I wouldn't do, but
yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily, they won't be moved, because I know two that were, so. But anyway, that's it.
Is that the only plot you have left, is that one that you're doing the burial on? That's,
What are we talking?
Is there people that own up there that can still bury?
Well, I'm having Robin Blackburn, her mother Fernand is being buried up there. It's a
Okay.
cremation burial.
But they already,
And I think Ken Short was the one who bought like a 20 by 20, he bought the whole top.
but do you have a plan that shows what you're selling or what's been sold?
Yeah. Based on
The stones that are there?
late, you know, you're talking about Porter Hill? we're back-
Porter Hill,
Yeah,
Porter.
yeah, Porter Hill, I only have what's on that plot.
You've never sold a plot in Porter Hill?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
No.
How long
It
you been
says- It says on it.
How long you been
All
to
lots
Saxton?
were sold.
How long you been to Saxton?
I took it temporarily in 2004.
Oh, you're part-time?
Part-time, I took it part-time, you know, until the trustees could get somebody that,
How'd that work out for you?
I was also told at the Memorial Day committee, when I wanted to pass the throne to the next person, they says, you got this job the rest of your life.
One of them appointed for life, so yeah, you
Yeah, great.
can't get out of that one.
You know how I became chairman? I missed the meeting.
That'll happen.
That's true. That's the truth.
That'll happen. So,
I'm being, I feel like I'm being stuck. I don't know why, but something tells me.
don't miss the meeting.
I know what happens next time you leave early.
We have 3 new trustees with 5 votes
Excellent.
in total.
Yeah.
Did you, I don't think you got any vote.
Okay, good.
Just,
I remember that in March.
It's thank you for volunteering.
but they know you now, Eric.
I do appreciate you stepping up, I really
Yeah.
do. It's tough to find people to volunteer for any kind of board, you know?
Yeah.
We do have some good ones, don't get me wrong, but there are some empty spots on most boards, so.
Mhm.
No, we got 3 good guys, Gary Johnson, Bill Zeppler, and Eric.
Now, before we move on to other business, where are you with the new flagpoles?
They're in the barn.
Do they know it?
They know it, yeah.
Yeah.
Gary helped me
Okay.
put them in there with the,
Okay.
from, and,
Pete and I had this discussion, and I said, when
I
you
know
get-
he was short-handed when they
Well,
came in.
Yes, yeah.
I
Yeah.
talked with Pete and I said, when you get a chance, or you get rained out on Timber Top and you can't get culverts in, or you just can't do road work,
Yeah.
go over and plant some holes, so. They're not on the top of
They
the
did a
list.
beautiful job on the 2 in south too.
Yeah, they're not on
They
the top of
took
the
a lot
list,
of
but they're
pride
on
in
the
putting
list,
them out.
so. Gotta get ready for pavement.
But I heard too, you guys might be losing Peter.
Peter who?
Go away.
First I've heard it.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh, I thought he was looking at retirement.
we all are.
Oh.
Some of us just sooner than others.
Anybody in the room?
Joanne's leaving.
Joanne surprised us.
Oh, we got Joanne till the end of
Did you see
July.
that?
Don't
Oh,
worry.
we're chilling.
June 22nd.
I've included you in those, I think. That's on Kenny Road.
Those going in Center
There's a
Cemetery?
culvert that goes
Pardon?
across
The new
road.
poles are going in
Kenny
Center?
Road,
Center
there's a
and
culvert there,
Soldier's
but it
Farm.
doesn't even go to the end of the
We need
road.
one in
And it's
Soldier's Farm.
collapsed and
Yeah.
runs off.
How many
So-
total?
The water's
5.
Oh, really?
destroying
We
the
have 2
road.
already in south.
Right.
Tenny Road, you said?
Kenny.
So there's 2 going down
Yeah,
to the
and
center and then down.
I sent Peter
And,
the pictures
it's a
in an
single
email.
pole
Yeah,
and,
Yeah,
Soldier's
that's-
Farm.
Yeah, and you pull off, so you pull off a
Yeah,
turnpike.
I know right where you're at.
Boom, right there.
Okay, let's,
Thank you, gentlemen.
thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
We'll be in touch, I guess.
Yes,
June 19th.
yes, 4:30. I'll be
Thank
there
you.
about
Thank you.
4:45.
Uh,
I thought that was a nice way to approach this up here. Take his, to approach it, you know. Have we had a problem?
Mhm.
So that answered the rumor.
Any new business other than going into non-public to review highway applications?
Trying to think, I don't,
The every other, do
Jim,
you wanna, did you decide on the every other, or you know, every other week meetings?
you wanna
I
start
thought Jay
that?
just decided it because he's got a meeting now on the 19th.
No, but that's at 4:30, and that shouldn't
Oh,
be more than an
okay.
hour. Well,
So July 3rd.
yeah, I was gonna say, two of us aren't around for July 3rd, so why don't we start in July? We'll just start July 3rd and go every other week from there unless something more pressing comes up. Is that
So you meet on the 10th and the 24th.
And then the 7th and the 21st
correct?
works.
We only got Joanne for one more week, so we can't take next week off.
Oh, David, I do have, you wanted to see the sign that was proposed.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it must have been, there must have been a second proposal, because I remember one of them, I think, had the town emblem on it.
I think that the Stewart one, so there was one from Oak Ridge Sign and Graphic. But,
It was a lot higher, I think.
and then the Stewart one for, I think this one was 76, is the one that I think we approved before.
What is square footage on signs? Ordinance? How many square feet can it be?
For the town?
Yeah, or in general. We don't play by the same rules as everybody
No.
else.
Well, you asked the question.
Yeah, I know, I just don't think that's right, personally.
Well,
That's me.
that's why the school was able to put in that,
Electric one, yeah.
I know we put the sign over at the church in Jaffa, and they counted everything, poles, trim, everything was in the square footage. I can't remember what it was, but,
yeah, this here is just so
you know,
undefined of what it is. You know, other than graphics, you know, what,
we all looking at the same one?
there's only one here, right?
Yeah, I didn't know if we each had a different.
No, so you have your choice of either white or black.
But, you know, is this a piece of plywood, is it PVC, what is it? You know, there's no,
You want me to get more information on the construction?
that would be helpful.
Yeah, I've got a gentleman I'm gonna contact and see if he can give us a
So
estimate.
it's 4x8 freestanding sign with announcer section, header decorated on inside surface with 3M vinyl graphics, blank message area with riveted tracking, deep extruded aluminum cabinet. Structure details. Yeah, it doesn't tell you what the structure is made out of, like the legs and stuff.
Yeah.
Is it too late for me to solicit somebody to give us a price?
No, it's not.
I'll ask him to contact you tomorrow, Joanne, I'll call him,
Okay.
all right?
Well, if you're gonna call them, why don't you
Wanna
send
give
them
us-
something, tell them this is just kinda what we're thinking about? No?
You know I have a flip phone,
Oh.
right? I'll have him call Joanne, and then Joanne can send him that information. Yeah, it's,
We gotta get you an upgrade.
I can't remember the name of the business, I got his number in my phone.
I don't even know if this has a, Says it's a 7 3/4 inch deep extruded aluminum cabinet. To me, that would tell me that there's a
Gotta be a cover on it,
glass.
a face.
There is, it says, there is a vandal
it?
cover with glide and lock. Right here, base cap, vandal cover with glide and lock.
And that was the whole idea, so that, because they freeze in the winter, and they're out here,
Oh, they-
and they break, and they need to be replaced.
Okay.
Then you end up like faulty towers where the people move the letters around, get something good going. It's only 8x8.
8x8 or 4x8?
The whole it says, sign height is, 8x3, or 8'3", and the width is 8'8".
Yeah, that's off the ground.
Right.
Yeah, but the sign is 4x8. Cabinet, yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying, Jay was worried about the size of it.
Well, I wasn't worried, just. I don't know, I just think it's funny that towns and states and the government make rules for everybody to play by, but they don't have to play by it.
Do you want the digital sign? We'll get, I mean, see if your friend can do a digital sign.
He can do any kind of sign. he wants. Price goes up,
So do
we
you
go
want me to
digital.
get more information on this one?
Okay, well, so let's do payment. Any other new business,
Not off the top of my head.
Joanne?
No.
So a motion to go into non-public under 91A3, Section B, the hiring of any person as a public employee.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.